Headbangers.
Welcome back to the Headbangers podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Unfortunately, Nathan can't be here today, but here we are. We're joined by Thomas. He's from the Ex-Sentinels, and he's also a very good guitar player. So, how are you doing, man? Start off with
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
awesome. So, we want to start off like a little icebreaker. What's your funniest gig story? Obviously, you played a few shows in your time. Like, what's the one thing that sticks out to you?
Oh my God. it was it definitely had to be the time I fell off the stage.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Was it a high stage?
yeah, no, I wasn't even playing yet. I was setting up all my equipment on stage, and there was a I guess there was a curtain behind me, but I didn't know that there was a 4 foot drop behind that curtain.
Fuck.
So I had my guitar on me, and so I pushed. It was a brand new Legator guitar, and it was my first time using it. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm gonna fall. So I take the guitar and I push it forward, and this hand's supposed to go out this way to break my fall, but instead it goes out like this. I broke this bone here and
Fuck.
this bone here, and I also chipped a tooth when I hit the ground.
But is the guitar okay though?
The guitar was fine. Yeah, yeah, no. The
It's like
guitar
you're
was
one of those
completely.
freeze frame moments, in those like video games where you get like a few 5 second shots to decide your choice.
The best part was like it definitely was one of those slow motion moments because I saw the piece of tooth fly away
Oh
after
my
I hit the
days.
ground. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that
I
must have
think
hurt.
that was definitely in the local days in one of our old hometown venues.
I imagine that happens quite a lot, to be honest. Like, I want to know how many times like band members have accidentally fallen off stage, and like, did you like play off pretty cool then, or were you like, oh, this is it. I'm a write off
Well,
for the night.
I was more freaking out like that I chipped the tooth. I didn't even realize the hand was broken until like I got back up on stage and was all set because it just swelled up so much. But I continued. I played the set. I had the rest of the band load up my equipment for me after I was done, and then I went straight to the hospital.
Yeah, that I understand that. Yeah, I think it was anything to do with like chipping teeth. It's always like the most serious thing. Like, I'm not surprised that like the thumb was an afterthought or the finger was an afterthought. Like, that's just straight to the hospital from there.
No, it was definitely not fun because we were headlining that night, and it was like the first time we got like a legitimate encore, like for us to like play another song, and everyone was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And like the beginning of that song was such like a pick heavy song, and they just all look at me, and I'm just like,
I can't do
"Yes,
it.
let's do it, let's do it."
No, absolutely. So obviously I want to talk about what you're doing now, but I wanted to touch on Sentinels as well. So how was like your time in there and what made you want to decide to step down and focus on other things?
Well, so basically, I for me it was I was not in a great place. I took a couple tours off to start going to therapy and work on myself and everything, and
Yeah.
I came to a lot of like just realizations that like some of the stuff I was not even like nothing that has to do with the band or anything, but just like I just wasn't in a healthy place to contribute as much as I really should have. So I just felt like it was time for me to step back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I gotta admit, well, when I think about a band, like that eats up so much of your time. Like that is your life. Like, you don't even have time to really do therapy or focus on yourself. Like, you know, it just takes, everything out. Like that's it. That's you now. So yeah, but I don't blame you for wanting to take some time away because, obviously mental health needs to come first, especially before like band
Oh
stuff. As cool as it is,
yeah,
the other things are prioritized.
yeah, definitely like life here at home wasn't great, and I brought that with me on tour, and it was not a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you did the right thing because I think a lot of bands, and you can see it on stage sometimes, or even with interviews with each other, like, they sort of pen it up sometimes and they don't take that time to like work on themselves. And then it just like absolutely just destroys the band in the future. And I can
Oh
think of
yeah,
like several bands that's probably still doing it to now, and it's just not the same. So,
oh yeah. No, that's definitely a thing because it's like you go out on tour, you get homesick, and then you come home, and then like you're depressed that you're not out on tour, and like there's no good happy medium because you're so busy like on tour that you don't get time to work on yourself, and then when you come home, all you want to do is be on tour, but like you're trying to survive here because like touring is not easy, especially because like
No, I can
you're
imagine.
broke half you're broke half the time. Like you are not living in great conditions, so like it's just mentally exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I always wonder that because I mean, on the plus side, it always seems like this great thing. Like, the rock star lifestyle is completely glamorized, on the media, on just like how
Mhm.
you view things. But then when you actually hear about the bands talking about it, it's like it's so taxing. And yeah, you come back and then like, there's not much there, and then you just want to go back and tour because of that. So it's just like a never-ending cycle, I imagine.
Oh, 100%. Definitely 100%.
Do you feel better then since you've like taken that time? Then do you feel like more refreshed and ready to start doing other projects now?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, I did the whole therapy thing. I figured out a lot of things in my life that I needed to sit down and actually work on. I changed careers from like my job when I was home because that was mentally exhausting. I was a security guard and I would
Oh
just
wow,
sit at
really?
home. Yeah, I was a security guard, but like it was for a corporate building and I would have to go there every morning at 4 in the morning and open the entire building. So that like I was never had the time to like see or hang out with people because I had to be in bed by like 8 o'clock at night
Holy shit,
to
man.
be there for like 4 o'clock in the morning.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what's it like being like a security guard? Because like I've never got to speak to someone about like how that is. I know it's not related to metal or anything like that, but you'll find on this podcast we like to take little tangents and talk about other stuff.
Oh,
They know what
100%.
metal is, they know what all that shit is. So yeah, speak to me about it. I want to hear
No,
some.
for sure. It's probably the most boring job you could ever have. Because like I literally just I would open the building, I would do a walk through, make sure everything was secure, but then I would just sit at a desk and wait for people to show up for like 3 hours. And then when we were slow, there was still no people coming in. So like I just had to be there. And like you weren't supposed to be on your phone, but I was watching movies the entire time. But
What do they
like you had
expect you to do?
they just expect you to sit there. That's it. Observe and report. That's all you need to do.
I had like a similar thing. Obviously, it's not the same deal, but my previous job before what I do now was like selling cameras. But I love the team that I worked with. It was great, but like there was a lot of times where it would be quite empty, especially like during like the back end of COVID. When I started working there. So
Mm-hmm.
like nobody would come in. I was just like, can I just like watch Netflix or something? I was like, it's that sort of downtime where you can't do anything, but you
Yeah.
also like can't watch Netflix. I'm just like, well, I'm just meant to stand there like a fucking statue then.
Mm-hmm. No, it's ridiculous. And I did that for 5 years. So like it
Oh,
just became so mentally exhausting of trying to like figure out things to do and just try and like occupy your brain because at some point you just go like mind numb and like you just are waiting for the time to pass by.
are you ever like sort of waiting for like not like a security breach, but you're waiting for some action to happen just because it's that dead?
Yep,
I
100%.
always wonder that. Like,
I I think in the last place I worked at, which was the longest security gig I had, I called an ambulance 3 times in the 4 years I was there.
damn. I bet
That
you're
was
like
like the
sort of like, oh damn, this is really sad that this happened, but fuck yes. Like,
no, like honestly, I felt bad because like people need to be taken to a hospital, but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just there like, oh my god, finally something is happening. Because it was a corporate building. Nothing happened. There was no break-ins. There was nothing, anything. It was a warehouse. Like nothing happened. Like
Yeah.
so it was just the most boring job I could have ever had, and it was just mentally exhausting.
I think with those things there, like you sort of appreciate the next things that come after that. You're like, fucking hell, I withstand that, but now I'm here. So like, you get like a newfound appreciation for, a change in pace. So
Oh yeah, and more human interaction.
yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's what made me appreciate going on tour so much was the fact that like I got to go out, I got to hang out with people, I got to talk to people. Or me being at home, like 70% of the time being at work, I was mm, just bored.
No, absolutely. Did you get to meet anyone that you like look up to then quite a lot? Like, do you have like a certain memory that comes back that you're like, oh fucking hell, that was like the best time on tour, just learning from somebody or
I've Let me think real quick. I think so. What during my time in the band, I don't think we never we went out on tour with Bleeding Through.
Been
Um,
through. Yeah.
yeah, they were some of the nicest people out there. They were like they're some like the like OGs of metalcore. So like they've been around for a minute and like just getting to sit down and like talk to them about like their experiences and everything was that was fun. Like that was in terms of learning how to tour and learning like what it would take to actually be out on the road, that was definitely a fun thing to like go out and do with
Yeah.
them.
Awesome, man. So yeah, we talked about Sentinels. Let's talk about what you're doing now then. What you cooking up?
Well, right now, mostly my writing has just been a little like sporadic.
Yeah.
Um, I try and sit down. I haven't even been writing anything heavy actually. I've been writing some like more chill melodic stuff. Like
Nice about that.
I've been listening to like so much Sleep Token.
Oh,
Um,
one of my absolute favorite bands
the
ever, man.
the more chill loathe stuff like that just vibey ambient stuff like that's kind of the stuff I've been writing when I find time
This
but
might be a hot take, but I honestly think like I've listened to so many heavy bands, like death metal, deathcore, sure, I love it. Don't get me wrong. But like sometimes what I look for now is like stuff like Love and stuff like Sleep Token because they're like heavy in a different way. Like it's
mm-hmm.
dark, like the way that they strain their voices and like the production, the different electronic sounds that they throw in. Like that to me is like the new wave heavy,
Oh
and
yeah,
I enjoy it a lot more right now.
no, honestly I think metalcore is turning. I don't want to say radio friendly, but like the metalcore and like
Yeah,
some deathcore stuff has been progressing to the point where catchy choruses, good hooks, and everything are like they matter so much. You like Spirit Box, like
yeah. I
Loathe,
was just thinking about them. Yeah,
they're on top of the world. Architects, like they are
the
kings of
Kings.
metal right now.
Absolutely.
But
That's why everyone wants to copy the Doomsday riff, because they got it right.
oh yeah, no, they've have a formula that is perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But yeah,
No, my
other than
respects, Sam. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're gonna cook up. Do you like plan to get back in a band again, or like now that you've had the time by yourself, like you're happy to maybe do like a solo project or just like part your own stuff?
See, I've been so conflicted with that lately. Like I have so much material that like I just literally have on this computer right now. It's I guess part of me is like it's starting over again when like the last band took 10 years to get to that point.
Yeah,
So like it but like granted, like I think I'm having more fun because I do manage two local bands from the state of New Jersey right now.
nice.
So working with them and like I guess putting on giving them like telling them like the things I learned over like the last 10 years of doing music, I think that's been pretty good and like that's been like satisfying my like urge to still be in music.
Yeah,
But I think given some time, I think I might find some people like good good musicians that like want to just chill and have fun and write vibey music.
yeah. I think it's what you want. Just like, to have fun with it, like nothing taken too serious. Obviously, when it needs to be, like,
Oh yeah.
putting in the time and everything like that and contributing, sure. But I think the most important thing is just that you enjoy jamming together. Because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, I think people can lose track of that, but that is what makes the band, that makes it fun.
Oh yeah. No, like having a group of people that like you can be friends with and also get together with and it's not all work, it's not all business, it's just a bunch of dudes doing what they love or a bunch of people doing what they love.
Yeah, that's it, right, man. So I want to talk about I know that you're quite big into photography. At least I saw you doing some model shoots on your gram. So you're speaking
Yeah.
my language because I love photography. I do like video and photography as like a side business alongside my actual job.
Yeah.
So what's like the picture that you've taken that you're most proud of and why? Like what sticks out to you?
So
And also,
I
how did you
will
get into photography as well? Just give me the whole spiel.
so I got into photography. A friend of mine named Sam, me and her went to college together and I saw her doing photography and then she would bring me out to some shows and like she got me into it. And then I met my friend Raquel. She takes photos. Uh she's a Massachusetts photographer. She is one of the best photographers I have ever seen. I cannot give her enough praise. She was just on that Born of Osiris tour with Victims
Oh wow. Was she doing like the behind the scenes then?
She was doing live content for victims. So, but like I'm happy she's finally getting a lot of the recognition she deserves and is actually like going out on tour. But I don't think
Oh
it
yeah.
because she's taught me so much about it. Like she is definitely the person. She's not the person who got me into it, but she's the person that got me passionate about it. So
What so like what would you say is your favorite picture then that you've taken?
I will say I think it's one of the ones that you were talking about on the gram. It was the picture of my friend Raquel and her friend Sam. Like I like doing staged like I like just out in like the world photography like with models who know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
um people who have their looks down, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a question actually, because this is mainly for me. I don't care about the viewers in this one. Like this is purely for my intellect. But when you do like model photography, because the thing I struggle with most is like, you know, I want to frame up the picture nicely. I want to get the lighting right. I want everything to be perfect in the picture wise. How do you
Mhm.
do that at the same time as directing an actor or, you know, a model? Because that's the bit I struggle with the most. So I want to know if
It
you've got any tidbits that I can pick up.
it's definitely you got to definitely be good at multitasking because like
I'm not.
say I think that's definitely a thing. It has to do with you being able to like I mean having an assistant would definitely help, but
Yeah, that's
if
what
you're
I've done.
if you're soloing it, it's definitely tough because like you have to be able to like stage your lighting, you have to be able to like direct them, and you have to know where your spot is. Maybe I used this once, use bringing a roll of duct tape and marking spots on the ground where like
Yeah.
you need to stand, where like you need to light, and like just set everything up like that.
Yeah.
But I
I'll
think
write
that's
that
like
down because duct tape's a really good idea. They do it in films and stuff, don't they? So I imagine that'll be quite helpful. Absolutely. Want to talk about music as well. Like, what album completely changed your life?
all right. So I
One
am
of those
a
like wow moments, you know?
something I think something that got me into the technical metalcore writing definitely was Josh Travis from well, he's in Mirror now, but
Yeah,
he was in the band Glass Cloud. That first Glass Cloud record sealed the deal for me. That was just like that's what I want to do. I want to write crazy technical guitar parts. I want to write breakdowns that people want to kill each other for. And then it had everything. It was catchy, it was heavy, and it was technical. The
awesome, man. I'll
Royal
check that out.
Thousand was amazing.
Yeah, I think I might have slept on that one, so I might give that a shot.
Oh, dude, definitely. It's super low tuned 8 string guitar. The next record he did after that, Perfect War Forever, had 9 string guitars and like it's in the most stupid tuning ever, but it's so heavy.
Would you say that's like a key factor in your guitar playing? Then like, would you say like you morphed a lot of your sort of sound around, you know, that
Oh
as an
yeah,
inspiration?
100%. 100%. It was the I think that was what got me into the I guess the dissonant notey stuff where it's basically you put an effect on the guitar and like you're playing that note and the note above it or below it at the same time so it just sounds creepy. So
Awesome.
if it wasn't for that band, I don't think I would have started playing the stuff I got into.
Did you play the guitar before that, or was it like sort of like an afterthought? Like, you know, so you started playing like other stuff beforehand, but it was like you got into heavier stuff when you started listening to that, and then that's when you turned to guitar that way.
Yeah, so for me, I started playing guitar. I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade at the time, and I started playing guitar more as just like a hobby. I had a couple friends who were like just playing guitar and like they were doing like covers and stuff like that. So like it was definitely mostly like peer pressure, I guess, to get me playing guitar, the instrument. But what got me
Yeah.
passionate about it was the discovery of heavy music. Like Guitar Hero actually definitely was a factor in there because if it wasn't
Yeah.
for Guitar
Same
Hero,
for
I
me.
don't
I think it's a lot of people, isn't it? Like just even just getting into the music. It's always that or Tony Hawk or whatever people were doing at the
oh
time, you
yeah.
know?
No, it was that was definitely the factor of like what got me into that kind of music because like it because I didn't start directly with metal. I started like with the rock and like heavy like thrash stuff because Metallica was like huge for me for like the longest
Yeah.
time. And then when I actually started taking like guitar seriously, I guess I started with the original wave of like post hardcore, like
Yeah.
like all the scene bands like post hardcore, Ask Alexandria, A Day to Remember, like bands like that. It's like where I started, and then it just progressively got heavier as I
Yeah.
went in.
It is. Remember, still killing it though, to be honest. Like that new single they brought out, I was like, Jesus.
I haven't even because I know they just put it out like what was it like a week or so ago.
Yeah,
I haven't
dude,
gotten even a chance to
check it
listen to
out.
it yet.
It slaps, honestly.
Well, because they're on tour with Beartooth, right? It's Beartooth and Ghost Inside, I think.
Leave, sir. I don't think is it a tour in the States or is it like a
Yeah,
tour
that's
in
I think
Europe or
that's a
something?
no, that's a States tour for sure.
Damn. Wish to
Yeah,
come over here. It's been a while.
yeah, really. Like, there's a lot of like bands that I feel like they neglect your part of the world. Like, they
I think it's difficult now because obviously we stupidly left the EU, so like a lot of bands are struggling to come over because there's a lot more sort of payments that they have to make to get over here and like just sorting all that out as opposed to before when you could easily just transfer from places in Europe without like many difficulties.
well, because it's you guys in Germany right now that are because Germany I heard it was pretty hard to get in and out of.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their reasoning is, but yeah,
I think it's just a different kind of I think you have to have a separate work visa from like the one that you go into
interesting.
Europe with. I don't know.
Yeah, but I've noticed that now when a band because a band used to like include UK in like their European tour, and now when they
Mhm.
do a European tour, it's separate from when they do a UK tour, so it's not mix and match anymore.
Mm.
Bastards, I'm so angry about it.
Very interesting.
Idiots.
I'm just not. I just I mean I know that's like all political with like the countries and everything, but it's funny how it just affects like the entertainment industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I will get all political on it, but yeah, it's definitely frustrating for things that used to be so convenient before. Now it's just like impossible for things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to ask. So what was your favorite moment in Sentinels when you were there?
I
Like, or
was
maybe even just like what's the proudest moment of being a musician?
I so I have two. I have two I think two of my proudest moments was one playing the festival in Texas, the So What Fest,
Okay.
where we got to play with Killswitch Engage and Parkway Drive.
Oh my
Like
God.
that was just like, okay, this is amazing. I'm playing with two bands that like were like childhood for me. And then I think the second would have to be getting signed to Sharptone, actually, because Sharptone has so many of like the metalcore bands that I listened to as like a kid, and then so many of like the newer bands that I became friends with. Like I'm the guys
Yeah.
in Currents are some of the nicest guys ever. And if it wasn't for them, Sentinels probably wouldn't have even been signed in the first place.
Do you feel like you like developed quite a lot of relationships then with other musicians because of being signed to Sharptone?
I don't think necessarily just because of Sharp Tone, but I think just going out and touring was one of like I've made so many great friends because of it. Um, I definitely know Bleeding Through was definitely the original. Actually, no, Kearns was the original friends on the label, and then Bleeding Through took a liking to us and brought us out on the tour, and it just so happened that they were also on Sharp Tone. So we definitely made a handful of friends because of the record label, but I think a lot of the friends I made was just through touring in general.
Yeah, awesome. So I want to talk about the hobbies and interests then. So let's put music aside for a second. Like, what do you do for fun? Like, when you have some downtime, what you getting up to? What are your interests?
I am I'm a total foodie. I love cooking.
Same. What's your
It's
signature dish?
ooh okay. I would have to say my signature dish right now. It's grill season here, so I'm just doing everything out on the brand new grill I just got. Um,
Oh yeah.
it's I'm definitely the big shrimp guy. I love cooking shrimp. So doing the barbecue skewered shrimp is awesome right now, but you can't go wrong with a nice steak.
Oh yeah. No, I love doing grilled stuff as well, to be fair. But unfortunately, we don't really do much seafood because my girlfriend's not really big into that. So, but I do want to eventually put some shrimp on the barbecue because,
Uh,
wow, I can
no,
imagine it
shrimp.
tastes
I feel
amazing.
I feel like for everyone who wants to get into seafood, shrimp is like the first one you should try
It's the
because
gateway, isn't it?
it really is. It's that, and then I think salmon. Salmon's like a go-to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Would you
But
say you're
honestly,
quite a good cook then?
yes. Oh my God. I if it wasn't for so I think about how old am I now? 27. I moved out of my parents' house at 22, and I think doing that is what gave me the cooking bug because I was either spend all my money on fast food and going out to eat or save myself money and just cook all my own food.
Yeah.
And that
It was
just
like
got me
a red pill, blue pill moment there for you, wasn't it?
100%. But then the trade-off was I got so into cooking that I started spending so much money on ingredients and stuff to make my food taste better that it basically evened out.
Yeah, some stuff's really expensive, especially like getting into like some like, fancy spices like saffron and stuff like that always costs so much.
Oh my God. I've been since I just moved in my new apartment here uh with my new roommate, and I've been once every week or once every other week, I just try and find like the big containers of spices and just buy one of those every time I go so that way I have enough to last me like forever.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that as well recently. It's just so much easier because I don't know, spices run out more faster than you think. Like you think when you buy it, it's just gonna last forever, and then it ends up like next week, like, oh fucking, I have to buy the garlic again. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, it's definitely something you don't really think about because like I remember I lived with my parents, so like anything I needed to season when I was there, like oh they had their own spice cabinet. Next place I moved was with my sister. Like once that was done, then she had her own spice cabinet. Then I moved here and I'm like, wow, I have nothing right now. I have to get
totally, literally,
everything.
you don't really notice it because like when you live at home, you just like everything just gets replenished. So you're just like, oh yeah, we've always got spices, they never run out. And then like you move by yourself and you're just like, fuck, it's just like
All
every
my
single
food,
week I'm buying new spices.
all my food just tastes so bland right now just because I have nothing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
no, it's between that and I like cooking, but I've gotten really into making hot sauce.
You
So like
make your own hot sauce.
I make my own hot sauce. Yeah. I was actually for a while I was thinking about making my own brand, but New Jersey for the longest time this was the only state in the 50 United States where you could not make and distribute a food product out of your house.
Seriously?
Yep. New Jersey had such a weird law with it. They just lifted it a couple months back though. So we will see if I can
Yeah,
start this.
I would wait till, it's blown over a tiny bit because I don't know, no, if it was me and no my luck, I'd start doing it and then as soon as I start to distribute it, it'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, guys, it's now illegal. Sorry.
Yep, exactly. So like I'm keeping my eye on that, and also I think the state requires you to have some form of insurance for doing that, just in case like someone gets sick off your food. So which is
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
That is understandable. I get that, but it's also hot sauce. People are definitely going to injure themselves with how spicy it can be sometimes.
Yeah, you can't really measure that because, someone will probably just do it as a challenge just to have like as much as they can in like a spoon or something. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
absolutely.
my stuff is not killer. It's definitely more flavorful than having just a spoonful of, like battery acid, but it's pretty good. I'm hoping that I can do something with it soon.
Yeah, you should, man. It's like this idea of just speaking about spices and hot sauce on a podcast about metal, but I don't care.
Oh
We
yeah.
we always do this to be honest. This is just like our thing.
No, honestly, like I enjoy the break from it every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk about podcasting in general then, because you said that you mentioned that you did it. So what would you say are like the misconceptions of podcasting, like that you realize before going into it, or that you think people think about podcasting, but then it's not actually the case when you get into it?
Well, so I get for me, I was more the I guess the audio engineer behind the podcast for the one I
Right.
was working with because it was me and the roommate I have now. Me and him had a podcast. Honestly, we sound like such assholes when I say the name of it, but we had a podcast called The Only Opinion That Matters.
Wow.
And yeah, no, it was really
So you
bad.
gotta tell me more about this.
Oh God, we basically we reviewed music, we reviewed movies, video games, basically anything we wanted to fill up our time with. And it was fun. Like I genuinely enjoyed it. We did it for almost 2 years. Um, but it the then touring became more of a thing, and I didn't wasn't able to commit to it as much as I wanted to. And also realizing that like having a podcast with that name made us sound like complete assholes.
Did you have like a one episode that was like a very strong opinion about a certain film or album that you kind of look back on, you're like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have like gone too hard on that, or
No, but there was one episode where me and him had complete polar opposites and we were like getting into it on the podcast because we gave each other homework to go for the week and to go listen to like three albums that like I was listening to and that he was listening to at the time. And I'm a big Post Malone fan
I love Post Malone.
and he can't stand him. He cannot stand Post Malone. So like
But he's
that
such a
was
lovable guy. He's just
I
like a
know
big
he's so
koala
nice.
bear, isn't he?
Yeah. That video of him that just came out that people were memeing like crazy. It was he had the dancing one where he's just like kind of vibing on stage, and then there was the one where he's jamming out with a bunch of musicians and he asked them if they had a bedtime.
I mean,
Like
this is a guy that's possibly the biggest pop star in the world right now, and he's just so down to earth and such a human guy. Like, I think
he's
it's
top
respectable for sure.
he's top 10 on Spotify. He's within the top 10. Like
Yeah.
in terms of like how much income he can make from streams. I spend way too much time looking at bands stream counts and monthly listeners where like I'm fixated on it. I'm like, how
Yeah.
big is this band really?
No, seriously, like I think I'm always intrigued to find out like how much a band earns or like what their net worth like do you know how do they live quite fruitfully being of that size and then like finding out that apparently they don't like I think I'll then again it was like Metal Hammer or Loudwire, so I don't know how truthful their sources are, but there was like one thing to say like stuff like Lamb of God and Cannibal Corpse, even they like they're not exactly like super loaded, like they're just managing to
Oh yeah.
make it, which is really
I
strange when you think about it.
well, so there's a couple factors I think you need to like take into consideration. Like Spotify, the payout for Spotify is nothing. You
I
barely
can
it's
imagine.
I believe it's 0.005 cents for every play. It's half a penny for every play. So like to make 5 grand, you have to have like a million streams. So then you take a band like if you take like Post Malone, his three of his songs have over 1 billion streams.
Wow.
So he can definitely live comfortably, but also then you have to think about the fact that all that money is not going directly to him. It's going to the record label as well.
Hmm.
So like I don't know what his contract's like, but he's definitely splitting most of that with the record label, and he takes probably anywhere from 15 to 30%.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, I heard of a few people, of musicians that have managed to get in contact with like some, like, or I guess fairly bigger artists, and they've just sort of said that when you work with a label, I don't know how true this is, that they will sort of pay for your tour and they will like sort of do like like a tax return, so like you will buy stuff like food and drink and everything like that, and
Yeah.
they'll reimburse you for it, but they don't exactly like pay you for anything, and sometimes you can end up in debt by just
Well, so I mean, a label is just basically it's a bank. Like anything you borrow, you do have to pay back, and then
okay.
they try and do that through sales of the record. Sometimes if you like, for instance, I'm just gonna throw like a rough thing out there. Like a record label gives you $20,000 to shoot music videos, record the record, and pretty much anything else you really need. You they It's a gamble on their part because there's a chance that the band flops and doesn't make back the money. but
Hmm.
that's why they take like a 15, they take like 70 to 80% of it when it does start making money, because you got to
Right.
do what you wanted with it.
I never
So
thought of it like a bank, but I suppose now that you've mentioned it, it just sort of makes sense, doesn't it? What
mhm.
about like stuff like a music video? So like if a music video gets like, I don't know, like quite a lot of views, maybe more than the Spotify, would that be the same thing with Spotify? Like, that they would take most of that and then you get a tiny bit back from it?
Probably. I from the couple of contracts that I've been a part of, I didn't see any clauses for YouTube like uh monetization, but definitely like Spotify and every Spotify album sales and everything, it kind of condenses all under the same like percentage split. So, considering
Oh,
that most of the promotion, you would think that for a smaller band at least, when they put out a song, if the record label is putting it under like um their YouTube channel, that's where you're gonna get really pretty much a good amount of promotion from it. So
that's really insightful, actually. You
yeah.
definitely give me like a lot of information that I kind of wanted to know because I guess the music industry is quite confusing. Someone like me who's I have no musical talent, so like I'm never going to find out like firsthand what it's like. So it's actually
Oh,
quite interesting to know like the ins and outs.
this is basically some of the things that I'm teaching the couple of bands I'm working with, just because a lot of people just don't understand what the music industry is actually like.
So
Like
instead of
it,
misconceptions about podcasting, then what was like a misconception that you and before you like entered the music business, like what was one thing that you thought was a certain way and then it wasn't when you realized?
that people would listen to a 45-minute podcast. So like when I first got into it, like I was like, this is I think I was doing it like before Sentinels got like
Yeah.
any type of like real traction. So like my own social media wasn't even that big. And the more I tried to promote it, Facebook just shut it down, just because tagging things on Facebook, it ruins the algorithm. Like then no one sees it. So I learned about how to promote it properly, I guess. Just because a lot of like depends on the length of your podcast. Like you guys, like you're starting out, like you guys have definitely developed a following by like getting some great people on this podcast, because I looked through who you had and everything so far, and I'm just like, damn, you guys are killing it right now.
Honestly, we're like we just message people and just like hope for the best. Like we've got like connections within like Metal Blade and Nuclear Blast. So, like sometimes we can get like quite a cool one every so often. But it takes obviously a lot more effort to get them on because they're much more busier schedule.
Oh yeah.
Like they're usually like doing a massive tour or something like that. But most of them, we just sort of just DM them and like, yeah, do you want to come on? And they're like, yeah, I've got nothing else to do, so I guess I'll do it. That's what happened with Lorna Shaw. I was like, it's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Like now, I don't think that'd be even possible. Like, I reckon they'd be way too busy now.
Oh my god, no, they're that those guys are they got thrown into being the hardest working musicians ever because of how
Totally.
quickly they blew up.
Yeah. It was a weird time when that whole thing happened because I mean for longest period I feel like metal and hard music took like a bit not a dive. There was still loads of great bands, but there wasn't like that sort of stardom band that like was getting like viral. And that's exactly what happened with them and like Slaughter to Prevail. I'm just like, when did it change? Like it just completely in a year just went mental.
Mm-hmm. I think I think that COVID had a lot to do with it too, because like people couldn't go to shows, like people were trying to just get as much of a presence as they could online, and with how social media works with like algorithms kind of screwing over everyone, like you had to pay a lot of money for it. So like it just wasn't easy. So like the first thing that happens when shows start opening up again, Lorna Shore drops this banger to the Hellfire, and then they
Insane.
blew up. It broke the internet.
Yeah, it was a crazy time for sure. And I mean they I guess they haven't looked back since, to be honest, doing tours of like Slipknot now and all sort of crazy shit. So
Well, they're doing that. They just did Lollapalooza here in the States. That's a pop festival, and they got
yeah, I've
so
seen
big that
that.
they put one metal band on a pop festival. Insane.
I didn't see how that went down, to be fair. I imagine they got quite did they get a good reaction?
No, they got an amazing reaction.
Wow.
Apparently this apparently the stage that they were on, like throughout the day, no one was really going to that stage. Like they said, oh, like there was maybe like 100 to like 150 people throughout the day watching that stage, and then they went on stage, and filled they filled the area of that stage. They were the only
Insane.
band to do that on that stage that early on in the day because I'm pretty sure they played at like 2 or 3 o'clock.
It's a great thing about like heavy music is that, even though it takes a dip at some points in time, like it always seems to like reinvent itself and come back. You had like the new metal phase in the 90s, and then you had like the MySpace deathcore and metalcore in like the early 2000s, and then now it's come back with like, this new age of deathcore. So it's
Yeah.
great because I think, I don't think the genre will ever die. Like there'll always be new bands to come in and change the
Mm-hmm.
game, and this is what's happening now.
Yeah, no, there's definitely like you said, like you had like the OG metal cores like Kill Switch and Parkway and stuff like that, but then you also had like you had like all the scene phase, like the Hot Topic scene phase of like Ask Alexandria, Attack Attack, I Set My Friends on Fire, and then it just progressed into like more metalcore and deathcore and like yeah, there was a trail there for a little bit, but like everything's on the rise again.
Yeah. No, it's a great time, and I think like there's bands all across different genres in metal are just doing like amazing things right now. Even like
Mm-hmm.
Bring Me the Horizon, like they're changing the sound every time, and they're always ahead of step of the game. Like they're just killing it, honestly.
And they're doing so many songs with like big artists like MGK, Halsey, like they've done
Yeah.
so much. Like I definitely think I definitely think Bring Me the Horizon decided to cash in on the fact that they were one of those bands that came out like when all these pop artists were like teenagers and
Hmm.
all these and like they go up to these people and be like, "Hey, like did you listen to us when you were younger? Because we would love to do something with you now." And then they're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, yes, you were. This is nostalgia. I need to do work with you." And like
It's like
they're
some long investment, isn't it? Really, like just waiting for this to happen, and now like, oh, by the way, guys, yeah, you're a fan of us, so let's do something.
that's it's the fact that like they did something with Ed Sheeran. He is literally number 2 on Spotify.
I know.
It's
It's crazy. I
insane.
honestly think, speaking back to Post Malone, I'm waiting for the moment because I feel like he will do something with like a metal artist at some point because he was in a metal band before he started doing that stuff like ages ago there. Like,
He,
I know that he's into that shit.
I would love for that to happen, and I think he'll do like a video and he'll do like live stuff. I don't think he's ever gonna post like an actual song like with like a metal artist. Like I would
Do you not
love to
think
see
so?
it. I would love to see it. Like that. That's the metalhead in me is just like yes, that'd be amazing. I know Post Malone messes with metal hardcore, but I just don't think it will happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it's this I guess the cynical person in me that just thinks it's not gonna happen.
I think you might be right, just on the basis that like if anyone was going to do it first, I think it would be him. Like I feel like
Yeah.
if he was going to do it, he would have definitely done it by now. So there must be a reason why he's not chosen
Well,
to.
he's on his 4th album now. Like that just dropped not too long ago, which was it was amazing.
Yeah, I
Um,
loved it. Proper chill one. I loved it.
yeah. Now it's all right. Well, question for you, since we're
Okay.
both Post Malone fans, what is your favorite Post Malone song?
I really like Hollywood's Bleeding. Like I know it's like a random one, but like I don't know, it's just when the album dropped, like I think it was really cool because that was the moment when I proper got into Post Malone. Like I went back and listened to like Beer Bongs and Bentleys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then like when that kicked off, I was like, this is such a banger. I just loved it. I don't know. There's too many good Post Malones and like ones for like different moods as well. Like I like the
Mhm.
upbeat ones when I'm feeling like that certain way, and then I like the chill ones for like when I want to mellow out a tiny bit.
Oh yeah.
What about you?
I would have to say I like some of his more sad boy stuff. So like that song "Better Now" off Beer Bongs and Bentleys,
Yeah,
amazing.
banger. No,
Yeah.
he's really cool. I'd like to see him actually, to be honest.
Me too. I've been I was so close to going to see him. The security company I used to work for, my mom is an HR person for the company, and the company they do security for MetLife Stadium here in New Jersey. So they get free box seats every time anything comes through. And the one time Post Malone was coming through and I saw he was going there, and I was like, Mom, please get me these
Man, please.
tickets. Mom, please get me the tickets. But
Oh man, that'd be so
unfortunately,
dope.
they were all scooped up.
Yeah, I imagine that sells out pretty fast, to be honest.
Oh yeah. But yeah.
So we're about to wrap it up. So I want to ask one more question to you, which is just what advice would you give to a new musician starting out? And what advice would you give to your younger self as well?
I would say, well, there's two things. One, I would say take care of yourself, take the breaks if you need it, focus on your mental health. And two, I would say create as much content as you can. Photos, videos, just you posting anything on your social media, because that is one of the ways that you get noticed. The more stuff you have out, the better.
Yeah. I think no matter what you do, like if you do something like creative, if you're a musician, whether you're a photographer, like you've got to remember like you're half a marketing rep as well for yourself. Like if you don't market yourself, then you're not gonna get anywhere. Like you need to just put your shit out there like a fucking sleazy salesman and get people to listen. That's what it is.
Shameless self promotion. I endorse it anytime.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to try and sell some shit to me, my DMs are always open. I will listen to whatever you want to say, but do it anyway. Just send it.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, man. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been honestly a pleasure. I had a pretty bad day today and just like, getting to hang and stuff proper cheered me up. So thank you.
Dude, thank you, man. It was a pleasure, and definitely if you ever want to chat again, let me know.
Yeah, oh yeah. I know where your DMs are, so I'll pop in sometime and see how you're doing.
Dude, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and good luck with whatever you do next. I'll keep tuned and see what you hash out with because you got some good guitar playing, so you definitely need to put that to some use again.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And your photography as well. If you got like a page, send it over to me.
Dude, I definitely will. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Well, best of luck and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Definitely.